uh, the data definition language was concerned, uh, the basic and foremost content towards the table creation and table usage will be happened with the two words. One we call it as data definition language, another we call it as the data manipulation language. So we, in short form, we call it as DDL and DML. And now, first of all, we need to create a database. So it technically database here, it is going to be assumed as a table here. So create table statement, it is going to use to create a table in the database. And table, we are assuming that it will be organized in form of rows and columns. It will be organized in form of rows and columns, and every column will have a specific data type what we mentioned, and no two tables will have the same name, and that is all the table names must be unique. And other thing was, if we do not like the table or any reconstruction of a table, and we no longer needed a table, then we are going to remove the table, we will drop the table. So dropping a table, deleting a table, we use a command called as drop. So now let us look into this diagrammatic model. So in this diagrammatic model, we are going to say create followed by the table name, that is create, and table name was student, and the columns were student ID, first name, and date of joining. So student ID, we call it as column name, and integer we are going to assume it as a data type. 10 we are going to mention it as a size, and whatever table name we created, that we can drop. So we say it is drop table followed by the student uh, name. So this is regarding the first. Next one. So this is how an interface was taking up create table student belongs to an integer, first name and gender as a character, etc. So we can run the table. So once we are hitting on a run button, you can see the schema of a table with student ID, first name, gender, and date of joining, etc. So that is how we will create a table. Next one was we have to insert the values uh, for a student, that is student ID, first name, and gender, and drop. So what we can do is we can give a value of 1001, first name as Alex, gender as male, and date of joining as 2015, etc. And yeah, you can see the row was inserted. You can insert more rows by changing the values and clicking run. Once you are done, you can drop the table to proceed. So let me change the values to 1002, and Alex, I'm changing it as Ram, and then date of joining, I'm going to call it as 2021. So 2021. So that's how I'm changing, and then I'm running. So now you can see one more table insert was created with the second name. So now let us switch to the another tab called as drop. So drop table, yeah, we have the name of a student we have created earlier, that is student. Now we are going to mention with a drop table and with the student name what we are giving. So we will execute the query, and we can see this table was dropped. So this is how we are working with the data definition language towards creating of a table and towards dropping of a table. And similarly, we have already worked with manipulation of a table with the insert command also. Yeah. So drop table we were talking, and it is going to drop the existing table, but drop table followed by table name. So there are some dependencies where table will not be dropped, that we can later discuss it again. And as of now, uh, yeah, this is what we were mentioning. So the next interesting case, what we need to look up towards the uh, execution part was to use this not null constraint. So we do not want to see that table columns, whatever are there, they should not be empty. If such is a constraint what we want to pose, so then we are going to say it is not null, and it is sees that it will prevent that a column will not be accepting the null values. So that is the reason why we are using a not null. And yeah, not null where it is going to be taken up means it is going to be taken up at the column level constraint. So for an entire column, we will apply the not null. And yeah, how we are going to create a not null was that I'm going to have this student ID, and it belongs to a data type called as an integer. And now what we are going to pull it up was, we are going to pull it up with a constraint, and we define the name of a constraint, that is student SID not null, and then we are assuming the constraint name as not null, and it is defined with a keyword called as a not null. So this is the first and foremost observation when we are looking up with the not null constraint. So rest of the things, again we were telling, first name, yeah, it should not be empty, it should be filled with something. So we make this as not null. So in future, if we want to call externally, then we need to give up a constraint, and that constraints we are going to call as student SID NN. So for that we are defining the name of a constraint. So when we hit on a run button, now you can see that the student ID was created, and there was a constraint called as not null, and then there was a first name which was with not null. So in this model, we are going to get that item. Next one, we are going to make insert operation. So insert operation, we can have some valid record. So valid record. So we have student ID, first name and last name. So if we hit on this button, this is first interpretation. Yeah, you can see this entire content. Uh, Everything is proper. We didn't get this student ID empty. We didn't get this first name as an empty. So obviously, it is an example towards a valid record. Let us look with an invalid record, and then hit on this. So now you can observe that first name we have already given a constraint that it is not taking the null values, but still you are going to give a null value. So therefore, it says that an insertion is going to be failed. So in this model, we are going to look back with a not null constraint. So not null constraint prevents a column from accepting null values, but you still giving this null. So obviously it is where this not null is playing a major role. Yeah. After not null, there are some constraints which can be operated over a table. So those constraints, it can be towards a single column constraint, only applicable only over a column, that is a single column. And then we have a composite constraint that it can be applied between two or more columns. So first I just need to know my name. So in order to get my name, I have a first name and I have a last name and I have a middle name. So I want to get my name, then I should check the full name with first name, middle name and last name. So all the three conditions should be appropriate, then only my name is going to occur. So we say such elements here as a composite constraints. And then we are going to have column level constraint. Just now we discussed the ID, it is going to be a primary key, and there we have given a name to it. So it is applicable only to that specific column, that it is not null, like that we mentioned in the previous slide. So there we call the item as a column level constraint, and that is specified within the column only. And next comes the table level constraint. So in the table level constraints, we will do it to the entire table, and we will happen it after the column was defined. After the column was defined, then only we are going to apply this column level constraint. So now table level constraint can be specified after all the columns are being done, because until unless the table was constructed, the columns were available, everything is known, then only we can holistically apply to the table. So that is the reason why we say it is a table level constraint. Okay. We were talking about single column, composite column, column level constraint and table level constraint. If such is the cases, now how these are going to be implemented? Yeah, these are going to be implemented with not null, with primary key, with check, and with unique, and with a foreign key. So they will be applicable with words called as not null. They will be applicable with the words called as primary key, the check, the unique, and the foreign key. So these are the different ways of looking at into the constraints condition. So seeing that a column was should be given some specific value, we say it is not null. Then if we are talking about a primary key, yeah, we say that it should be not null and unique. There should not be any duplicate values inside that entire column. So there should not be any redundancy value inside the entire column. So for that, we are going to hold up this and check. Yeah, we give some range. So minimum value of age for admitting into BTech should be some 17, and minimum age to admit, the maximum age to admit a girl into BTech is 28. So now the range is between 17 to 28. We give a check. So what was the age? When we feed something into the age column, and it will check the minimum value and it will check the maximum value. So there the check is going to verify it. And unique, yeah, when I'm going to say unique, I will accept one null value. But second time when I'm going to accept a null value, it is thrown back. The reason was already null was available in the column once, and second time if I'm going to give a null value, yeah, it won't accept. So there the unique is going to come into picture. And then we do have a foreign key value. So in this foreign key value, it links up the first table with the second table, so to make multiple inferences, etc. So, and there is one more value by default, what a constraint can be applicable by default. So there is the another type of constraint with this default. So by default, it should be not null. By default, the data type is date. So in this model, we are provoking the different types of constraint towards the table. Yeah. Now coming to the first word, a column can be given by default as an option. So we have a default data type. So I just mentioned by default the date, it will be a system date. So because even the mobile phones right now, we can't even set our own clock. So any operator who are going to provide, though by default they are going to give the IST, the Indian Standard Time. So the time it is at any point of time to any mobile operator by default they are going to give a same time. So similarly, when a person record was inserting on that day, he is going to join in an organization. So whatever the system time it is maintained, that we are going to take it as a default. So we check up with this word called as a default. So DOJ, it belongs to a date data type and it accepts the by default the system date. So sys date, it is going to point out the system date, and it is not it should not be nullable, it should be not null, and some value has to be feeded. So now let us see this query: create table student and student ID, first name, varchar, etc. So we will hit on the run button. So now you can look up the values, the date, it is with the date data type, the first name with varchar2, and the student ID with the a number. And student table is now created with the current time, that is the date of the default, and with an option with the DOJ column. Okay, now let us make an insert operation. So in this insert operation, by default date, so default date, yeah, if I'm going to hit on this value, so it is taking up the 3rd August 21. So the system date which was in my laptop today was 3rd August 21. So the system date by default, it was taken by the Oracle database. So there we are assigning this date of joining. So we created this date of joining with date and default. So that's the reason why when we created that the system date. Next one, yeah, specified value. So another was if we are going to update with a specified value, yeah, see this. Now we are going to try to insert a record with user value for a column with the default option, and this default option I'm going to give it a specific value. What was the specific value? Was 5th Jan 2015. So we have given this for a job record. And similarly, let us try with this null value. So yeah, so now default it is going to accept a null. So default value is not used if you are going to provide a null value. So these are the different cases what we are going to work with this default option. Okay, fine. Now let us work on the constraints. Another constraint that we are going to call here as a primary key. So in primary key is going to be a constraint on a column, and it will ensure that column cannot be null and duplicate values. So once we are going to assume that the key is going to be a primary key, we will assume that it contains it cannot contain null value, and there should not be any duplicate values. So then we are going to assume that it is going to be a primary key. So here is the syntax what we can see at this point of time. We are creating a table called as a student, and thereby we are going to have student ID. It belongs to a data type called as an integer, and there was a constraint, and the name of the constraint was student SID belongs to a primary key, and it is with a constraint called as primary key as mentioned. So what is the name of a constraint? It is student underscore SID underscore PK. And what was the type of integrity constraint applied? It is going to be applied with an integrity constraint called as a primary key. So in this way, we are going to create a table, and you can see here the not null case because we have defined the table with primary key. So that's the reason why we will be getting this as not null. And let us make some insert operations. So in this insert operations, let us have some valid record. We had a student one, name was Max and his contact number was this. And because we are having this value as 1001, so it is having some data, right? Therefore, the content was successful. Now let us look with the second test case, and again another value 1002 named as Flexi with some mobile number, and yeah, these two are going to be a valid records as we have mentioned. Now let us take up the third item, that is with a duplicate record, and see how the value is going to come, because already we have 1001 and now again we are typing 1001. So what does it show? It is going to say there was a unique constraint and that constraint 9 was violated. So that's the reason why the insert operation has been failed. So this is how a database is going to give up an error. So let us see what happens if null value was taken up. So as per the definition of a primary key, which says that there cannot be null value and there cannot be duplicate value. So null value already, if I'm going to say null value, it is not accepting. And just before this query, we tried it with 1001. So 1001 is repeating again. So that what it shows? It shows that duplicate value we are inserting and which the database is not taking up. So it can't promote the duplicate values. So again, we are going to get the error. So this is all regarding the primary key content. After primary key content, next thing was to work with the check constraint. So in this check constraints, we are going to limit to some values by fitting it into a range. So here we make the student table and it makes up a gender column, and gender column should be either male or female. So we are establishing a constraint, and the name of a constraint was student gender, and we are going to verify it with a keyword called as a check, and check it is going to be a result word, and gender it is going to be a user defined name, and gender should pick up either male or gender should pick up either female. So if such is the case, then we are going to provoke this check constraint. Yeah, so you can see up here gender, it is going to be of character 1, and yeah, it is going to be looking with a constraint called as check. Now let us see an insert operation and make one called as a valid record. So it is 1002 Alex and gender was male. So when it is a true record, yeah, it is going to verify it is male. So M, it is available. So we have given M or F. So only two we are going to give. So it is going to become a valid record. But let us see what happens if we are going to hit on a run button and give some X. So when X is going to be given, because the checklist what we have given earlier, the checklist what we have given was it should be M or it should be F. Other than M and F, anything can be a error. So that is the reason why the Oracle server, it is going to give up that the violation has been created because the check option has not been met. So this is all from the different types of constraints what we have learned for today, right? So